It's quite obvious that some changes still need to be done at Manchester United, perhaps some wholesale changes as well. Juventus midfielder Adrian Rabiot and Bologna's Marco Arnautovic are both now linked with a move to Old Trafford. This is a story on the back of The Sun today. Mum's the word. Rabiot's set to join Manchester United if his mother lets him. Her name is Veronique, and she is also his agent. Reportedly, she is quite a tough negotiator, let's put it like that, shall we? She's going to be the one reportedly thrashing out the contract details on all of this. Ben, I just mentioned to you in the break, would you ever have a family member, or have you ever had a family member on the payroll? Is that something that you would ever do?
No, not with football. I don't think. I think when it comes to contract negotiations and stuff like that, you need to leave it to the people that know what they're doing. I think when I was, funnily enough, when I was at Manchester United when I was younger, I remember I was up for a new contract. I remember Gary Neville pulling me. I actually grabbed him and I said, listen, I'm going in for a new contract, like I need a bit of advice, this and that. And he went, oh, who's your agent? And I told him, and he went, well, why do you need an agent? And I went, well, I'm 23 years old. I don't really want to be going and sitting in with Alex Ferguson and David Gill and trying to do my own contract. And he said, yeah, but I do my own contracts. I'm thinking, well, you're Gary Neville though. And isn't that the most Gary Neville thing you've ever heard in your life, that he would go in? And he said, like, I will sit in the room with them and I'll say I'm worth this. And he said, there's no way they can look at me and say, you're not worth that. Because then he can say, well, I'm not good enough, am I then? So he would do it that kind of way. But yeah, you've got to be a strong individual. You've got to know your stuff if you're going in for contract talks. This
is what I've always wondered, and Ali, you can give me some idea of this as well, is knowing market value and what you are worth, what you can get. There's a lot of, I suppose, how do I say this? There's a lot of things that agents know that players just don't, right? The ways that you can get around things as well. You have to be smart in these kind of negotiations. Ali, would you ever have your mum doing your negotiations for you?
All day.
Yeah, she's tough, isn't she?
Oh, Ben, all day. I'd have the old in all day. Anywhere. I'd have negotiating at any table. Never mind my contracts. NATO. I'd have her sitting at the NATO table, man. She'd have a whole thing sorted. And see if I sent her around with my sister. Oh, that's it. It's all over. No, the world's problems are solved. It's as simple as that, Woodsy.
In all seriousness, these links that Manchester United have with these players, is Rabiot the player that Manchester United need at the moment? Is he an improvement of what they got?
Yeah, it's not. I would say it's not one looking with an eye to the future. To be perfectly honest, both of these players that are getting linked, they kind of seem to be a little bit more of a sort of plug in a hole for a little bit, or a stopgap. You look at the likes of Liverpool and Man City, and they seem to be doing it properly. They've got things in place where they try and get their transfer dealings done early doors. But yet again, with Man United, it just rumbles on, and it just constantly seems to be the same story year after year. And these older players that they keep getting linked with and trying to buy, like, you know, it started with Ibrahimovic a few years back, and then Cavani, Agallo, players like that. It's the sort of thing you just wouldn't see Man City and Liverpool doing. That's the bit that's scaring me a little bit as a Man United fan. I'm not a Man United fan, by the way. I'm just saying, if you are a Man United fan.
But it's like a stopgap, isn't it? That's what I said earlier, Ben. It doesn't seem to be. There doesn't seem to be some sort of plan or formula to build for the future. These guys that you mentioned, yes, you can argue. Of course, you can say they're good players, and they are good players. But are they the kind of players you want in your dressing room to build a team for the future? I don't think so.
I'd say as well, the characters as well. I don't know them personally, but there's just reading on the back of the paper or little bits and bobs that you hear along the way, a bit about that Rabiot. He might have some sort of behavioural problems. Arnautovic is kind of famous in the Premier League for being a bit of a, stroppy one at times. Again, looking at the players that play for Liverpool and Man City, you never really hear anything from these guys, do you? It's like they just go to work, get the job done, and go home, and that's it. And I think they're the sort of players that are worth their weight in gold in this market nowadays.
Give us an idea, because you played against Manchester United last season in the 4-1 win. Massive win for Watford, and a very dark day for Manchester United fans. What was it that you found playing against them? What was the game plan? Did everything just come off that you did? How'd you beat them like that?
Yeah, I think when you're playing someone like Man United, you've just got to go up against them. I think that if you give Man United time to play, they've got quality players, they have, but if you get up into them, they will struggle a little bit, and that's always the way that we kind of try to approach those sort of games. Again, going back to Liverpool and Man City, we would be scared about trying to get up into their faces because they have got so much more technical ability to play it around you, and if they get behind you, you're struggling full stop. But I'd say the home game was great, that we won 4-1, but I'd say it was the away game that was the most sort of telling, really, because we went away to Old Trafford, bearing in mind we were a struggling team anyway last season, but we again made a point of getting into their faces, and the longer the game went on, the Manchester United fans would get onto the Manchester United players' backs, and you could feel this sort of atmosphere, and that's what's wrong with it at the minute. I think there's just a little bit of an atmosphere around Old Trafford where they're used to winning, they've got Ronaldo back in the ranks, expecting him to still be scoring hat-tricks and stuff, and it's just not quite working like that at the minute.
The score when it was at Old Trafford was 0-0, wasn't it? So what was it in that game that they seemed to? Did they seem vulnerable? Did they seem like they didn't have confidence?
Yeah, I think Manchester United in general are vulnerable nowadays. I watched the game on Saturday, and I predicted before the game that Man United would probably lose the game. You can see Brighton, fair play to Brighton, by the way. They've lost a couple massive players, Cucurella, Basuma going as well, big misses, and you would expect it to have taken a toll on them, but they went there and they played the way that Graham Potter gets them playing, and they look technically they look just as good as Man United, if not better, really. And I think that's the worrying part, is when a team like Brighton come to Old Trafford and look just as good as Man United. So I know,
good manager as well.
Good manager, very good manager. Again, he's the sort of guy who would have suited Manchester United down to the ground maybe last year. But that's football for you, maybe not a sexy enough name just yet.
Just Graham's not a sexy name.
No, it isn't. No, sorry, Graham.
Sorry, Graham. I think he actually admits it's not a sexy name as well. I'm sure I've seen him say that in the past.
He's trying a bit though. He's grown like a beard and that. He looks a lot cooler than what he did a few years back. Right? He's having himself a bit more now.
They all become that way, don't they? When they settle into the Premier League, they get a bit cooler. They've obviously got stylists.
Might get their teeth done or something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's quite a signature move, isn't it?
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.